Good morning and welcome to my hobby bench yet again, and on the table you will see that I have an engine. Boy, there's a shock. This engine is a Magnum XLS 70 four-stroke engine, and of course this engine sitting on my table has a story that goes along with it, so I hope that those of you that are watching like my stories, because I love these stories. Because typically the stories that I'm telling about engines like this are stories of kindness and generosity, which is exactly what this is. So, long story made a bit shorter. One of my previous customers, Donald, had an engine, this one, that he wanted me to service, replace some bearings on. And he had sent the engine to me but negated to put my apartment number on it, and he was sending it via UPS, and I was like, oh man, you really need to put the apartment number on my address, because I've had issues with UPS before because I live in a building that has like 9 apartments, and sometimes that causes UPS confusion for whatever reason. They're kind of not all that bright. So he recalled the engine to come back so that he could update or change the address, and it was a month. And I'm like, what's going on with this engine, Donald? And he's like, hey, guess what? There's a fellow at my flying field that's got a brand new Magnum 70 in a box he's going to sell to me for really cheap. In fact, he sold it to him for less than it was going to cost him for me to do the bearing change. So he said, well, I'll ship it to you and you keep it. So in my normal way, whenever I'm gifted something, I never sell what I was gifted. So, and I don't have the desire to own a Magnum 70 engine. So what that means is that I'm going to continue to do what the engine as Don wanted me to do, which is replace the bearings. And then this engine is going to get paid back to somebody else that would desire to have it. So this is the engine that Don sent. That's the long story, or the short part. And this engine to me looks incredibly new. Now there's another little part of this story that I find incredibly interesting, and hopefully we're not going to have some issues with this. Don has a machinist friend that had this engine, and he was going to disassemble it for him, and for whatever reason he chose not to do that. Either he didn't have the time or what. And so, because they were just going to do it together, Don had already taken some of this stuff apart and looked at it and all that. But I mean, to me, this engine looks new. I don't know exactly. I think Don said he maybe got this off of RC Groups, or maybe I'm confusing that with another person. I don't know. But anyway, this engine looks like it's brand new, and Don had already purchased a set of Boca bearings for it. So, and he gifted me these bearings also. So I'm just going to get going on this and just take this engine apart and get it ready for these bearings, and then try to determine who gets a nice Christmas present, because this is a really nice looking engine. I don't know that I'm going to get a chance to run it to verify, because I just don't know if the weather is going to be conducive to that. But now I think this thing looks incredibly low time, but when we get the head off, we'll be able to tell more specifically how low time it is. Now, luckily, this thing has got a gasket here. A lot of these Magnum ASP later ones had these like really clear looking gaskets, and if you're not aware that they're there, you can lose it, because if you put this in the ultrasonic cleaner, which it doesn't appear that I'm going to need to do. I mean, this thing is so clean. You can lose that gasket because they, for some strange reason, decided to make them invisible so you can't see them, which I'll never understand. So here's the inside of this thing. And I did throw a glow plug in here because I was checking to see the compression. And it wasn't a plug that came with the engine. It was just a Fox Miracle plug that I had here. So it has awesome compression. I mean, this engine looks just fantastic. In fact, I kind of wish that I really wasn't in such a big rush to get this disassembled and get it ready, because I'd like to run it first. But I've got so many things going on, and I've got another engine coming to me from another person that's basically a diagnosis, an engine diag and run, that I just don't know that I'm going to have that amount of free time. I mean, look at this thing is just beautiful. I mean, it's just a spectacular condition, looks like to me. That wasn't super tight. I don't know if Don had taken it. I don't need this stuff out here. It was just for show. But I mean, this exhaust, look at that exhaust. So the biggest thing that I dislike about Magnum ASP and the engines made in this Sanye factory in China is this right here. The rocker arm retentions, I've had these not want to tighten and break, and it just seems like there's a lot of slop in this mechanism for whatever reason. This one actually looks like it's pretty decent, but you know, the rocker arms are more blocky looking and they don't look as refined as OS ones. I'm not saying that's the problem, but the problem I've seen is that this retention screw here, even when it's tightened down over a period of time, you'll start to see the rocker arms do one of these things, and that's never a good thing. I mean, granted, they're not falling off the valve, but still, that's just not something you want to see. And then I've had issues with, you know, them not holding the lash setting. So I don't know how far Don went on this engine. I'd have to go back and look in the email, but these feel fairly tight. You know, I gotta quit doing it that way. The camera wants to focus. Now see, it's funny because almost every time I go in one of these style engines that has the rocker or a head screw underneath one of the rocker arms, that's always the screw that seems like 99% of the time that's the screw that's the loosest. For whatever reason. I don't understand why, but it is. I don't know that people forget. Maybe some people forget to tighten that or what, I don't know. So I'm really kind of excited. I mean, this thing looks darn near brand new. This is going to be a really awesome pay it forward gift to somebody. Ooh, I had a glow plug washer in here. This would be a great pay it forward gift to somebody. Now, those of you getting excited about that, don't get too excited because I'm not sending this thing overseas. I refuse to pay, because what the deal will be is whoever I choose to send this to, depending on who it is, you know, the shipping is going to be on you. I'm not going to eat the cost of shipping. Yeah, look at this thing. This thing is like so low time, it's not even funny. This is just a beautiful, I really seriously doubt I'm going to be putting this in the ultrasonic cleaner. I mean, I just don't see a need for it. The engine is just that clean and in that good a shape. Let's see how good a shape. Let's see if for some strange reason, oh, those aren't coming up enough for me to pull those. There's another head screw. This is going to be an interesting one here because the last couple of these I've done, these cam covers, not the screws, the covers have been difficult to get off. That Thunder Tiger 54 that I'm working on for Chris, that cam cover is just a nightmare. Oh, look at that, that's beautiful. Now, if I get this, tap it up and out of the way, this thing should just pop right out. Look at that. I mean, this thing, it's got, I smell the oil fuel residue on it, but I mean, basically this is a new engine. It's not a new engine. It's about as close to new as you can possibly get, I would say. Put it that way. Look at that, both the tappets come right out with a magnet, so they're not stuck in there at all. Let's see how, if I can just slide this. Need to find a popsicle stick here. Maybe I can use this bamboo skewer. I don't know if that's going to give me enough leverage to Get that sleeve up and out of there. I think I am gonna have to heat this sleeve up, and it looks like I left my heat gun downstairs. Oh, because I was gonna take it to work on a ATV, so I'm gonna have to pause this video and go get my heat gun from downstairs and see how much difficulty extracting the wrist pin is going to be here. Okay, I'm back now. I got my heat gun here. I'm just going to heat this cylinder up a little bit. Pull this sleeve out. We'll see how easy it is to get the piston pin out of here. I wouldn't imagine this sleeve would be in here too tight. Now the question is, do we really have to do that with this engine? Let's just see. Yeah, it just doesn't look like there's quite enough. And that connecting rod is all the way over. Alright, so let me see about extracting this little so I usually typically find a really pointy servo screw. I think that's, it doesn't have a point on it either. Where are my pointy servo screws? Here's one. I think that's got a point on it. Usually just kind of try and get in there with that little, what is it, the piston retainer. And pull the retainer out. I'll leave that on. I'll leave the screw on there. Now the kicker is find the right size Torx bit. Can't tell if that thing's looking like it wants to come out without major effort or not. I'm trying to see just if the pin looks like it's moving at all already, because that's not the one that goes in there and gets pounded in there. It doesn't look like I've got a size that's gonna enable me to just slide that in there. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to put angular pressure on it and heat this thing up. Put some oil in there and heat it up, because none of these Torx bits are the right size to kind of pound in there, I don't think. Maybe I can, I was going to try this real quick just to see. I just want to see if that pushed that pin in more. Looks like it might have. See, the last thing I want to do is, if the piston pin has any movement capability at all, I don't want to push it in further. But I did kind of want to get this in there tight enough so that it would maybe grab and start pulling it out. And it's just hard to tell if that, I think it looks like that pin might be moving, so I think I'm just going to tap this in there a little tighter like I did. And then just go and heat this thing up. I'm going to put some oil in there real quick. Heat that thing up. quite a bit. Drop some oil in there. I think I've got that thing in there tight enough that now just by heating it up, it might come free. So let's see. And there it came out. I don't want that to burn my... dealie. And there's our connecting rod too, which got rather warm too. Ow, that thing is rather hot also. Let's see if I can get this thing out of here. There we go. So there's our piston pin. Yeah, that's all rather warm. I didn't think it got that hot, but at least the crankcase isn't that bad. So now what I can do is this thing is ready for me to replace the bearings on. I think what I'm going to do next is maybe just put this, I'll take these nuts off here and see if this is held with a wood. I don't think this is a Woodruff key one. I think this has a drive or a tapered collet like Sato engines do. I mean, even these prop nuts, they don't have the wear marks on them like you would see on a really used engine. I think I've already proven enough to everybody now that this engine is a very low time engine. So I want to put a little bit of oil on there and get my gear puller here. And I think I'm going to use my bigger one, not because it's necessary, just because the other one I've got zip ties on. We're holding it in place so they wouldn't slip out. I might need something like that here, but I don't know. This has got such good gripping areas. Oh, I didn't even move these or grind these jaws out on this thing. See, normally I have the jaws ground out, but it looks like they've got this angled such that I should be able to get a good grip on that. Now it's just a matter of tightening that. I mean, it's tight, hand tight, which maybe is good enough. And I just want to put a little bit more on it, if possible, before it pops off, and then just put some heat on it. Okay, so it's got quite a bit. Oh, okay, well, it just popped off right there. There you go. All right, so this kind of tells a little bit more of the story. There's a little bit of carameling around there, which I bet you anything if I would have used LA's Totally Awesome Cleaner on a Q-tip, which I'm going to go do right now, and that'll clean up real quick. Watch this. So you're getting a double dose. There are a lot of good stuff in this video. You're getting piston pin removal. Now you're going to get to see how I actually still use LA's Totally Awesome Cleaner. This is straight. And this is about the extent of how I would use this material. Clean Q-tip. See that? See how all that came off on that? Look at how dirty that Q-tip is now. Let's just wipe it. Well, you can hear the bearings. Maybe they're in need of replacing. I mean, now I just kind of use my thumbnail on this lip here. Since it's wet with LAs, it cleans that lip out perfectly. So there you go. This engine is ready to have a bearing video shot, and that's all there is to this. Pretty simple stuff. Thank you, Don.